It has been 6 months since I became a reseller selling on Poshmark Canada and eBay. And today I wanted to share with you my thoughts and ideas and some of my experiences that I've had in the last 6 months. Also, of course, I will show you my profit and losses. Just a quick intro. My name is Christine and I am a Canadian reseller selling on Poshmark Canada and eBay. I started this channel back in January because I realized there was not a lot of Canadian resources for resellers. And also I wanted it to become a community of other resellers so they can share their experiences, we can share ours, we'll get ideas and learn from each other, and that's how we become better resellers. If this is something that interests you, please hit the subscribe button and let's get into today's video. So of course, the best place to start is the beginning. And this is going back 6 months ago. So sometime in October of 2024, I got the idea of, I can be a reseller. I can do that. I have my notes down here, so forgive me for looking, but I don't want to miss anything. So I'm not even sure how I started. It must have been a YouTube video that I was watching. I've always been an entrepreneur my entire life. I've always had a side hustle going or some sort of project. And I was kind of at a turning point and I'm getting bored and I needed to do something. So I decided to give this a try. I like to shop. I like to be creative. I like the aspect of running a business. So reselling just kind of seemed like a really good fit for me. So the first thing I started off was Poshmark Canada, and I did that for about 2 months before I went on to eBay. The very first sale I had was a men's button-up Levi's shirt, and that actually sold within 15 days of me listing it, which I thought was like out of this world because at the time I think I only had maybe 15 or 20 items listed. So that kind of started the snowball there. And about 2 months into it, I realized how much there is to reselling on platforms like Poshmark and eBay. It's not just you throw your item up and then it just sells, because that's not how it works. It's all about algorithm. It's all about sharing and following and being present and being consistent. So if if you want to have a successful business, whether it's part-time or full-time as a reseller, there's definitely a lot more into it than I thought there would be. But I love a challenge, and usually when I get into a project, I go like 150%. The biggest surprise for me on Poshmark was how many times you have to share and then other closets you have to follow. And the Posh Ambassador, I wanted to get to Posh Ambassador pretty quickly. I did invest in a bot called Prime Lister, and that actually shares and likes and follows and does everything for me automatically. I honestly feel like it would take you so long to get the followers, to get the shares and all the other stuff you have to do if you did it by hand. I just feel like there was no way I could have done it. I do have a full-time job, so I can't constantly sit there on the computer and hit like, share, follow. For me, a bot was perfect, but I will talk about that a little bit later in the video. Let's talk about my worst buys, and I'm not going to go into detail with them, but my worst buys are all of the pieces that I purchased in the first 2 months of reselling. There might be 1 or 2 sprinkled out in there, like that Levi's button-up I was talking about and stuff. But if I look back at my closet, the things that are still sitting there and have not been moved very fast are all of the stuff that I purchased or found or whatever in the first 2 months of reselling. Yes, research is so important before you start sourcing and purchasing. So I'll talk about my most profitable item. I actually have 2. And the first one I made the most profit on was this Lululemon jacket. It actually came out of my own personal closet. So for my cost of goods, I did put 0 on there. And so after all the fees, blah, 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 I ended up profiting $50.95 off of that. I was so excited for it. I mean, technically, I did have money into it, but if it's my personal stuff, I just put 0 cost of goods. And so because that was my personal closet, I wanted to talk about the one that came in second place. My highest seller was this cause dress. And after everything was said and done, I profited $44 off of that. So let's move on to sourcing. Of course, it's my favorite thing to do and probably everyone's favorite thing to do. But on the other hand, it's one of the most difficult things to do, I feel like, when it comes to this overall reselling on these platforms. It is so hard to find a low cost of goods. It takes so much research and so much time trying to figure out and trying to keep up with coupons and who's having the sale and should I buy this and doing comps. And there's so much more that goes into just going to the store and picking up a dress that you think will sell. So much more. But I love doing it. One of the most things I do like about sourcing is finding new brands. Like there's brands out there and styles and all kinds of stuff that I had never even knew existed. So I have enjoyed learning a lot of that, which seems very cool because I don't consider myself stylish or anything like that. So I hope to one day maybe build my wardrobe a little bit more up as I research more brands. And that would be really nice. Let's talk about where to source. So my favorite, and I have to say, of course, my favorite place to source is the bins, the Goodwill outlet bins. And I know we don't have a lot around here. It can be very frustrating because I'll see YouTubers talk about they have like 2 Goodwill bins within like 30 minutes of each other. And we just don't have that opportunity here in Canada, or at least in Ontario. I'm in Ontario. And my closest bin is about 2 hours away. So for me to go to the Goodwill outlet bins, it's like a full day trip and it's pretty exhausting. And so my next favorite place to source is actually Talese. And of course, all of these thrift stores, Goodwill, Talese, Society Shop, Value Village, I always shop with a coupon. It's just the cost of goods would be way too high. Unless I have a coupon or they have an actual sale going on, the coupon has to be 50% off. I'm still, even at 50% off at Talese, I'm still picking up dresses for $7, $8, even $10 sometimes, which to me, I hate doing. So you really got to do your comps to make sure that it's going to be worth it for you to pick up that item. The reason why I like Talese though is that I find their stores are like immaculate. They're clean. They're super organized. Their bathrooms are clean too, which is a plus when you're there for a few hours. And then also, if you return, you can return within 1 week or 2 weeks. I can't remember what it is. It's either 1 week or 2 weeks, but you get store credit. So you don't have to exchange like you have to do at Value Village. So if you're not too sure about the brand or the internet is not working well for you, the service and is bad, then you can bring it home and do up some comps and see if it's actually worth it. And if it's not worth it, return it because you know you're going to shop there again. So we're moving on to pricing and selling. I kind of lumped this in together because I wanted to first talk about, I price the same on Poshmark and eBay. And I never really thought of it until I was doing the research for this video, that maybe some people price differently on Poshmark than they do on eBay. I'm not really sure if that would be better, easier. I find it easier to keep track of like all my inventory and cost of goods and things like that. So let me know in the comments below if you find that you do better with different prices on Poshmark and eBay. I'd love to hear about that. I do not pay for shipping. I could guess maybe if somebody put a really big bundle together, maybe I would pay for shipping for them if it was some sort of a deal, but it's so much easier to do it that way. And I do try to offer, if somebody is shopping close to a closet clear out day on Poshmark, I try to kind of warn them. I'm like, hey, if you buy tomorrow, then you can have $10 shipping instead of $13 shipping. And that actually happened to me this morning. So it did work out really well. My pricing strategy, this is what I do now. Maybe I'll come across another way to do it, but I feel like this is how it's working for me. So let's say I have a t-shirt and I don't know how much to sell it for. So I will go on eBay and I will look up the t-shirt and scroll down to the bottom and find the toggle switch that says sold items. And then when that comes on, it'll give you a whole list of those items, that the same item you're looking for that has sold in the last 90 days. So I kind of take like an average of that number, the number that they have actually sold for. And then I will add about $5 or so on top of that. So that gives me wiggle room to take offers or make counter offers. And for now, I think it's working for me. So the most important thing we're here for today is the profit and losses. I'm going to pull up a chart and we're going to talk about what has happened to me in the last 6 months.
So I tried to make this chart just super simple and easy. We don't need to go into too much detail. But as you can see here, I've sold in the last 6 months, I've sold 59 items on Poshmark, 27 items on eBay. And then I just did my totals down here. So my total sales were $2,478. The platform fees were $453, and my total cost of goods were $550. So my total profit for 6 months was $1,475. It's not great. It's not huge, but this is a learning experience right now. And Poshmark, if you want to create this as a business, it is a marathon. You know, it's not like a quick, fast race. So I think starting here, I am happy with how I've done, and I'm very happy with how much I have learned, and I get to apply that to the future of this business. Now, just to remind you as well, this total profit is just from the clothes. I did not put anything expenses wise in there. I'm not counting my bot. I'm not counting any of the supplies that I have bought in. So you really got to think about that as well and bring that down. If I do think about those expenses, I'm probably closer to profiting $1,200. But like I said, I'm happy with this. Of course, I wish it was more. But every month, I'm actually getting more profit, and that's the direction that you want to go. So yeah, all in all, I am very happy with this. I wanted to be transparent with you guys, how my sales are going, and this is what you can see.
These were my initial investments. Most of them didn't come until maybe my 3rd month of reselling, that I thought that it would save me time. So then I purchased these things, which you have to remember too with profit and loss, is that time equals money, and you can't forget to pay yourself as well. So the first thing that I did buy was a steamer. And this particular steamer I actually got for $5 at a charity garage sale last year. So that was a bonus. It's a Conair and it works amazingly. I also purchased a printer, like a label printer for a shipping label printer. This I actually got off a marketplace. It was $40. I don't remember the brand off the top of my head right now, but God, it's really nice. It is so nice. Like, instead of printing out the paper on your computer and cutting it out and then getting your tape out and taping it onto the box, this is like a lifesaver. It just prints out and you peel it and you stick it on your package. So I would definitely keep an eye out for that if you can find one on Marketplace for cheaper, because I know they can range from like $80 and up. But this one works perfectly for me, and I got it on Marketplace, so I was very happy with that. And I also got a scale. So I was using my kitchen scale at first, which was fine. There was no problem. But then when you put a bigger box on the scale, I can never see what the size was. And I only use the scale for eBay, which I don't have a whole lot of sales on eBay. But it was super frustrating because I did get caught up in having to pay for shipping. So I just got this little scale. I actually found it on Marketplace, and I think I paid maybe $20 for it. And it works good for me. And then I also wanted to talk about, I like to use anything recyclable that I can use when it comes to shipping products. I always use Amazon poly mailers or their boxes or anything like that to ship things out. We get a lot of shipments at work, so I have a lot of boxes from there. However, I did pick up these poly mailers. These are a 12 by 15. They're just plain white, self-seal, really strong, really durable. Have not had any issues with them from customers or anybody saying anything. And these I purchased on Amazon, and for $24, there's 100 of them. So one of the better deals I could find off of Amazon. And I really just wanted to get them right away because I was selling quite a few t-shirts and smaller items. So that seemed to be working for me. And then last month, I switched to doing my inventory a little bit differently. And if you're interested in how I set up my inventory, I can do another video on that. So just a quick, these are plastic bags. And I know it's plastic, I know, but it saves so much time. These are also 12 by 15 bags. After I am done photographing and everything, and I need to inventory my item, I put this in, I put the item in here, and I put a number on it for my SKU, for my inventory. I tape it up, and then I put it in the bin for storage. And then when that item sells, I find this so quickly. This goes right into the poly mailer. I put my little love note in there, and then I'm done. I find it so much easier. Before, I was wrapping it in tissue. And honestly, when I put it in the poly mailer, I really do think like I want something in there and not just a t-shirt. That's just my preference. And it's way more organized. Like the clothes behind each other stay a lot more organized as well. So for 500 of them, it was $56. So right away, it was a lot to put out, $56. However, obviously, the more you buy, the cheaper it gets. So I just started doing that last month, and it has been a game changer for me in just time-wise. So I will put links. These were both on Amazon. If you guys are interested or you want to check them out, I'll put the link in the description and you guys can go take a look. And the one subscription that I have is a bot that automatically does everything for me on Poshmark. It is called Prime Lister. It sends offers to likers, and it shares and follows and does all the automatic stuff that Poshmark and actually like requires in order for you to get up into the algorithm. I meant to grab the price for you. I think it ends up being $35 or $37 per month. I have yet to find a Canadian one. And if anyone has found a Canadian bot, please, please, I would love to hear about it. These can get so expensive. So there's two options for Prime Lister. You can just do the Poshmark automation, or you can do the automation and the cross listing. And the cross listing is so nice. It happens so quickly. When you add in the cross listing, it's, I think, at least $75 Canadian a month. And my business is too small and not bringing in enough profit to cover something like that. But I do honestly think that from my perspective, that the automation bot is worth it. It keeps up with everything in the algorithm. If you want to know more about that, we can discuss more about Prime Lister. There is a link in the description if you want to learn more as well on your own. All right, let's move on to challenges. And I'm going to talk about my challenges because obviously everyone is different. We all have different challenges, of course, depending on where we live as well in Canada. And I mean, actually the first one I wanted to talk about is I have a full-time job. So I am finding it difficult to find time for myself, but also give time for myself. Like I said before, I like to go in 150%, especially when I start a new project. And then I just find myself like, I'm doing this project all the time in my free time. I'm not giving myself to take a nice hot bath, or now that the weather's warming up though, I will start walking, which will be nice. And that gives me my time. But even when I'm in the car, I'm listening to reseller podcasts. When I'm on my break at work, I'm listing or making descriptions of things. So I do find it challenging to tell myself, you need to take a break, because I really enjoy doing this and I want to do it all the time. But I know that way you really get burnt out. One of the biggest challenges I also face, and I think most of us do, is sourcing. I am still really trying to find the best way to get the lowest cost of goods around here. I've been meaning to go out to this local thrift store. It's not Goodwill or anything like that, but it's also 45 minutes away from my house. So you have to kind of consider that into play. But I did find out that they have really great sales once a week. Their tags are off, 75% off, a colored tag. And their prices actually were really nice even before the 75% off. So I do feel like I need to make a point to keep going out there. I think it might be worth my time to find the lowest cost of goods. One more thing really that I wanted to talk about is my best advice. Now, I know I am not an expert by any means. I have only been doing this for 6 months, and I could just be talking out of my ass. But I do feel like I have learned a lot in the last 6 months, and it has been very exciting. And I have 2 thoughts about would be my best advice. Don't buy until you research. You're going to waste your money. You got to keep up on the research. If you want to have a successful business in reselling, you got to listen to the podcast, listen to the fashion experts, follow your favorite celebrities or anything like that on social media, because they're the ones that are pulling out the new trending styles. It's exciting sometimes. You'll find stuff that you didn't even know existed. So research, homework. Keep doing that. And you'll stay on top of things, and hopefully you can get the trends before they really start trending hard, like before everybody else has all those trending pieces. And that should be good, right? You'll make more money that way. And then my one other thing I want to talk about is the inventory system. If you think that you are even slightly going to get into more than 100 pieces, or maybe even more than 50 items at a time in your closet, do the inventory, do the organization. It is so important, and it will save you so much time. If you're going to have a closet that's going to continue to grow over 50, you will thank yourself a million times over again. And again, if you guys want to talk about more of like inventory and how I organize everything, you can let me know. All right, so the future, because we got big dreams, we have big goals. I know we all do. And just touching on some of mine that I have for myself. Number 1, my ultimate goal, and I've said it before a couple of times, is to do this full time. I want a job. I've always been determined to have a job that I do myself, like this. And this can definitely carry over when I get really old. I can still do it, right? So that's my ultimate goal. My next goal, and I started working on this a couple months ago. However, I want to get onto Poshmark US, and I've done a lot of research, and I know which direction to go into, and I want to start it. I have opened my Poshmark US account. However, with everything going on, in the South, I have not taken the leap. I'm still waiting to see if it's even going to be worth it. I might just keep my closet and work on that and see where that leads me. I hope we can sell on Poshmark US. And then my last one is, actually, I want to work up to 250 items in my closet. I currently have around 130 items. And so my goal is by the fall that I want a continuous closet of around 250 items. So hopefully I can work my way up to that come fall, and I would be really happy with that. And just like that, my 6 months of being a reseller is in the books. I have had lots of ups and downs, and I am so grateful for all of you being here with me, following my journey, but also talking to each other, giving ideas and experiences on how we can become better resellers. Thank you so much for that. If you liked hanging out with me today, feel free to stick around for more reselling ideas and tips. There is no pressure. However, thrifting with friends is so much more fun. Until next time, happy reselling.